So let's talk about the legal arguments behind today's Supreme Court ruling and more. Senior political analyst Brit Hume joins us live tonight. Good evening, Brit.
Hi, Shannon.
Your reaction to this ruling from the court?
Well, I think you're correct when you suggest that while it's not a narrow vote, it was 7-2, it is a rather narrow holding in the sense that it applies to an instance in which what the court really found was that this Baker didn't get a fair hearing, that the Colorado Civil Rights Commissioners were so biased against him, indeed biased against the Baker's religious convictions. In fact, it belittled those convictions, in one case describing that argument as despicable, that it wasn't a fair hearing and therefore it couldn't stand. It does, however, I think, give some recognition to the idea that religious convictions may be a reason to deny services in certain circumstances. We don't know yet from this exactly what all those circumstances might be. Maybe the case of the florist will tell us more.
Yeah, but that probably should enlighten. If they decide to take it, they'll need 4 votes to do that on Thursday. Okay, to the other legal issues now, the president and whether or not he can pardon himself. The Constitution itself doesn't say anything about that, but he's getting a warning from one of his own top lawyers.
Well, he is. And Rudy Giuliani was saying yesterday, and what a lot of people got outraged by, that the president had the authority to pardon himself, but it would be a disastrous step, would almost certainly lead to impeachment. And of course, he also pointed out that if he did pardon himself, pardons don't apply to impeachment. And the question of whether he could pardon himself remains an open question, in the sense that the pardon power is pretty sweeping. And the president can exercise it pretty much as he sees fit. However, it has never been exercised that anybody knows of in a case where a person is pardoning, or a president is pardoning himself, and the Constitution is basically silent on that. There is a principle in law that we all kind of recognize, which is that no person shall be the judge of his or her own case. And this would seem to fly in the face of that. So it's a doubtful proposition that he could actually pardon himself.
It goes along with that advice that you shouldn't be your own lawyer either, or you have a fool for a client. So you can't be your own judge. You can't be your own lawyer by some estimations. But also there is this issue of this 1974 decision that came from within a legal opinion within the Department of Justice.
Well, this goes to the question of whether the president could be indicted by Robert Mueller. And in the Nixon era, in I guess 73 or 74, the Justice Department Office of Legal Counsel, which is the Justice Department's in-house attorney, determined that a president could not, a sitting president could not be indicted. That was looked at again in 2000 by the same Office of Legal Counsel. Obviously, different people came to the same conclusion. Justice Department legal opinions like that are not binding law. They are, however, binding on the department. And since Robert Mueller is a creature of that department, he's not an independent counsel, he's a special counsel working for the Justice Department, presumably those opinions would be binding upon him. That does not mean, however, that if the president was determined by the special counsel to have committed some crime that for which he could be impeached, he could then be indicted. So in other words, if he was found to have obstructed justice, impeached, once he's impeached, he's not in office anymore, that opinion doesn't apply anymore, he could be indicted, tried, convicted.
Yeah, to those on the left who are raising hue and cry this weekend saying he's an imperialist, he's going to do everything for himself, he's going to pardon himself, the Constitution wisely provides them that impeachment avenue.
The truth is that the argument is being made now that the president is declaring himself above the law. But impeachment is a core part of our law, and so long as he is vulnerable, susceptible to impeachment, subject to impeachment, he is certainly not above the law.
Yeah, and both he and his attorneys maintain this is a moot question. He won't need to pardon himself because he's done nothing wrong, and they're confident that that is what the special counsel is going to find.
I think the self-pardon is kind of a silly issue. I don't think it's going to happen, and it would be politically and could be calamitous politically for him to try it.
Yeah, and I think it was the chair of the Senate Judiciary Committee, Chuck Grassley, who just moments ago said, "I would fire my lawyer if they advised me to pardon myself." So we'll see.
Good advice, probably good advice.
Brit, thank you for joining us.
You bet, Shannon.